Welcome back, ladies, to the Power of Women podcast. I am your host, Tori Jae, and
Teso and
we are both here, excited, ready to get into this topic. Okay, ladies, we are talking about faking orgasms. Have you ever had to fake an orgasm? I've definitely faked a couple of orgasms. I faked more than my fair share
right?
of orgasms.
Most women have.
I think so. And I think the the saddest part about that is like it's like for whose benefit? It's like you fake the orgasm to stroke his ego and make
he
him
really
feel
doesn't
good
know
about
what he's doing. So
yeah.
what is the point?
What's the
like,
point?
And then they be bragging. This is why they brag ridiculously as well, because it's like why do we do that though? Well, I don't do that. We'll talk about it after, but anymore. I've stopped. Please, I wish I would. But yeah, we do it. We're just taught to like strike their egos, and they'd be doing nothing, bro. They'd be online talking. What meme did you send me the other day? It was so funny. What did he say? He said, something about her. If she is not wet, then it's her fault or something like that.
She's not the one for you or something like that. It's about her. Yeah. It's her fault. Like,
you are delusional, baby boy.
Right.
God. You literally know nothing about sex, and you'll be the one talking about, I tear the pussy up, I beat the pussy. Don't beat it. No, I don't want you to beat it up, for God's sake.
Don't nobody want that.
Want to tear it up.
Don't nobody want you to tear nothing up. You ain't tearing this up. Okay.
First of all, you can't even. But you stroke it. So
take care
of
it.
About the
love
DJ
on
box.
it. Kiss it. Talk to it. Serenade it. Give it offerings and gifts.
I mean, that's life. That's where like the vagina is such a deep connection to source that when inside you, and it's funny that we're talking about this today because I thought about it yesterday, and I was like, wow, inside the vagina is literally, that's why they say they have the universe inside you, especially women. That is the universe. That is the hub of creation. Your womb space. They don't want you to know how powerful it is. That's why they trivialize it. But your womb space is like the hub. That is where source lies. Like within that energy is like the complete unmanifested. You can bring forth a life from life. Like, so you have to be kind to it. You have to love on it. You have to be gentle and stroke it. But they don't. They want violence. Like,
girl. That's all they
beat
want.
it up.
All they want. It's crazy too, because it's like, you know, especially the womb of a Black woman, right? The original woman. Like, imagine. That's why Esau. Well, I'm sorry. That's why white people have been
Esau. White people. We're so used to saying Esau.
I'm really used to it. That's why white people have been literally tearing apart and dissecting and experimenting on Black bodies, especially Black women, for so long. And that's one thing that we don't talk about enough too, like the racism and the systemic racism that's like thread throughout the medical industry. It's crazy. But
especially
even
towards us as well.
Specifically towards us. They love to dissect us and figure out how everything works and why it is so divine. But you know, I think the biggest thing about like faking orgasm is like there is this taboo when it comes to talking about sex and orgasms in our community with our elders, with our like the older mothers and the older aunts and just anybody. There's this big taboo with women talking about sex. Thank God that's changing a lot now, but it has been that way for so long. And so many women never experience orgasms. They grow old and they don't have a lot of pleasure, or you feel the need to fake an orgasm because you don't want him to feel embarrassed or to feel bad about what he's not doing right, when the reality is you can actually enjoy yourself. And a lot of women actually believe, or a lot of women are actually taught that their bodies are not meant to enjoy, or are not meant to
pleasure is
pleasure.
Shameful and dirty.
Exactly. I remember being told that as a little girl that women's bodies were not made for pleasure, men's bodies are. And it's like, no, his body comes easy and he orgasms as soon as he shoots out his sperm. So his body is actually made to procreate, unlike the narrative that they say about our bodies, whereas our bodies,
exactly, it's pleasure.
Our bodies are made specifically
to be
for
stroked
pleasure
and to be pleasurized.
That's why we have multiple orgasms.
Like multiple.
So I think the biggest disconnect is a lot of men just don't know what they're doing. They experience sex a lot of times as children, very young, and it's just this bang, 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 pow, I'm done. And some of them get older and learn a little bit, but they learn sex from the
porn
eyes
doesn't help them either as well, because
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
they learn sex from that. They learn sex from the eyes of like abusers, from other male peers, and like porn and these unrealistic ideas, and all of those things are so patriarchal in their essence that they never cater towards what we actually want and what we need. They always cater towards the men's desires. And I think it's scary that most of those desires are violent.
Yeah. No, but then again, that's everything when dealing with us is violence.
It's violence.
I think it's actually on purpose. It just shows how much the divine feminine is in danger from them, because they put the violence into every aspect of dealing with us. And do you remember we watched a program, because a few years we were talking about this, and even when it comes to masturbation with women, masturbation is another taboo. Most men masturbate freely and they're allowed to. It's kind of just, men masturbate. But women, I have a lot of friends even that we would talk about this and they'd never masturbated before. Like, and I remember there was a friend that I had, and she's married, and I wonder, be interesting to know if she's had an orgasm yet. But at the time she'd never had an orgasm. So when I said to her, well, just touch yourself, you have to touch yourself, and she was like, I can't, that's disgusting. So imagine how that feels in your body. You feel disgusting in your body because you're taught that it's disgusting. Even when I used to masturbate, I would feel, I'd feel disgusting when I was younger. You know what I mean? I'd do it anyway.
Good.
You know what I mean? But it took a while before I could remove the shame, because I'm like, that shame is not mine to carry. It's such an irrational shame. It's what they do to women. But anyway, to go back to what you were saying about they're not taught how sex is, it's down to the Europeans as well. Do you remember I sent you a video, I think like 2 years ago? It was called Sacred Water. Guys, you need to watch Sacred Water if you haven't. It's about kunyaza. Ladies, I'm telling you, kunyaza. Google kunyaza. It's what the Rwandans are famous for. And I think they say like 96% of Rwandan women squirt, actually like orgasm in a different way. And that's why it's called Sacred Water, because their history, I think, what was it? The Queen was meant to deal with a guy, because obviously, it's the clit. Again, don't ignore my clit. She's there for a reason. That is the pleasure center. Do not ignore her.
You speak to her first before you can enter.
Before you come, do you know what I mean? Okay. And do it properly. Bow down. And then she was like, the Queen of Rwanda was now meant to sleep with a soldier. She chose a random lowly soldier guy or whatever. And he was so nervous when he got next to her that apparently he just had his penis and rubbed it. He was shaking, basically, and it shook against her vagina, and then that's the first kunyaza. That's when the sacred, and she squirted, obviously. So now Rwandan men, they take pleasure. If you don't know how to do that to a woman, it's like, oh my God, you're not a man. Do you know what I mean? Well, not a man, but you haven't made it.
Well, hell, a lot of these men ain't men over here.
No, they don't. This is what they were saying. Remember in the video, it said that when the Western mind took over, of course, it's always them. When the Westerners came over, because they don't understand the woman's body and they don't know how to do it, they now flipped sex around again, turned it into this patriarchal vehicle, and now said that, well, women are only supposed to come for, women are not supposed to have pleasure, it's only for childbirth. Meanwhile, their semen, like you said earlier, when you ejaculate, is to procreate. When I ejaculate multiple, my ejaculation has nothing to do with procreation. Like, I don't even need to ejaculate to procreate. Do you know what I'm saying? So my orgasm has nothing to do with that. You're a liar. It's your orgasm that you're wasting up and down the bliss by it. He was like, once the Westerners came and they didn't understand the woman's body in that way, so they demonized it and now turned sex into the man, or being all about the man. And even then, it's not even all about him, because half of the time, 95% of the time, they don't even get to experience real sex. They experience this bastardized version of sex. Like, I mean, I've been with people before and they'd be like, oh my God, because they're just not used to sensuality in that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're very used to like wham, bam, pam, 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 pam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who actually likes that? Well, some women say they like that, but I noticed
Some
that one of
women
my
do.
other friends was saying that, right? But she said that how she liked, hard fast. But I also paid attention how a few weeks later we were having another conversation, and she was like, "Do you come every time you have sex?" And I was like, "Yeah, now I do." Well, I say now I do, but when I was fucking having sex, it's been a while.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't fake it. Like, if not, I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. And then she was like, oh, I don't. And I was like, you see what I mean? You notice the correlation? Because when I'm talking a few weeks back, we were talking and you were like, no, I love it hard and fast and I don't like it. And all of this different, like she didn't like it slow, basically. But you also said you've never had an orgasm.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, there's a correlation between that.
Very
There is a
telling.
correlation between that because the body likes to be, especially the female body, she likes to be adored and caressed. Take your
Right.
time with her. Even if you're going to build up to rough sex or whatever, right? You still have to take your time and build it up to that. You can't just bam, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Right.
Like
Right.
everything about us though is to just please the man as well. That's why everything about
Yeah.
us is to please them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
indoctrination is
why.
deep. It's funny
And then
because
we blame ourselves for it as well.
we do.
Like we'd be like, oh, something wrong with me. No, it's not.
Mm.
You're just not feeling him. He's not doing it. You don't have to fake.
No.
He's meant to like. He's supposed to understand your body, and if your body is not responding, it's because he's not doing what he's supposed to do. The shame is not on you.
Right. It doesn't take
Really,
much
there's no shame on
skill.
anybody, but
No, but it shouldn't be.
because it's just sex, you know what I mean? And everybody's different. So you have to learn my body. But the problem is men don't want to take the time to learn the body. And that's what I keep. So when they keep saying
They're
I'm great at
lazy.
sex, I'm like, the only thing you can be great at is communication. You can't tell me that you're great at sex because listen, everybody's body is different, right? So what you're doing with her is not going to work with me.
Right.
If you say you're great at sex, I mean, you must be great at communication then.
Right.
Like to me, if every new partner that I sleep with, we have to have a conversation on what you like and what you don't like. I can't assume what you like, and you definitely cannot assume what I like.
That's what they
Do you know
do.
what I mean?
That's what
Yeah,
they do.
don't
And I think that part is the most fun, like the exploring part.
exploring,
Like we get
right?
to take our time and explore. You get to learn me and learn what I
Oh
like,
my
and I get to take my
god,
time and learn you. Like that part can
girl,
be really fun, but
so
they're
much
lazy and
fun,
they
and
just
they just
want
want to go
it.
straight to it, like.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing though. It doesn't take much skill to pull something up out of them, but it takes a
Yeah,
little more patience
it
and
does.
skill to make our bodies explode. And it just shows how lazy they
We're
are.
divine. Yeah,
We are
bro, we are
divine.
so divine. My
We are
god,
divine. And you know what's
like,
funny to me? Like, I think it's weird that um a lot of us have well, it's not weird, it's intentional that a lot of us have so much shame and guilt. Because when you mentioned it earlier, like I've always had a lot of shame and guilt attached to
yeah,
sex throughout my life just because of my
yeah,
experiences. And I never I didn't get into masturbation young. Like I said,
yeah,
I had these unhealthy relationships with sex as from a young age. And then
yeah,
I just never got into it. It was definitely something that I knew wasn't okay for a girl to do. And it was
yeah,
definitely something that you knew to expect boys to do.
yeah.
But as I got older, I realized the importance of learning myself and
Right,
learning my own
right,
body. And
right,
I think that that is
right.
so important. We have to know our bodies. You have to know yourself
Yeah,
better than anyone else.
yeah,
So if you expect someone else or want someone else to make you orgasm, you should be able to do that.
exactly.
You know
Because
what I mean?
you don't know what you're trying to what are you looking for? What is gonna
Right.
make you? If you don't know, then how can they know?
Right.
How can you tell them what feels good or what you just expect them to do it? No, you
Yeah.
must know. It's so important. I
Yeah.
said it all the time. It's very, very important. Yeah. As
Yeah,
with
it is.
everything though, isn't it? Everything starts with self, including sex, man. God.
Yeah,
It
everything does
and
start with that.
I feel sorry for women though when they say that. They're like, oh, I've never had an orgasm. I'm like, even by yourself. Like, no. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Me
You're just
too.
letting these losers just use your body anyhow for their pleasure. I wish I would.
Me
God, I
too.
wish I
But see,
but I dare
that's
not.
the beauty in this generation though. Like I see women like taking their sexuality and like owning themselves and owning their
Yeah.
bodies and their freedom and they want to express themselves. And I think it is so bomb. But it
Yeah.
makes me really sad to imagine like those women who have never experienced an orgasm and like those women that are growing older thinking, well, I'm gonna die one day and I've never experienced an orgasm, but whatever. I just think that sucks. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
women are looked at as different. Like we have this the world is so sick, and we only looked at as very sexual or at our peak when we're extremely young, up until the
I love
time we
your
started
hat, by
having
the way,
kids.
bro.
Well, thank
I
you.
met God, she's black. If you guys can't see, her hat says, I met God, she's black.
That's
Very
right.
true.
That's right.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
But it's like what was I saying?
I mean, I cut you off badly as well. God's sake. And even in my brain can't remember now either. Kids.
Yeah, up until you
Growing
start
up and
having
never,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah, up until you start having kids, and you know, you get to a certain age, men start to look at you like you are not as sexual or not as beautiful, or you're just not high up on the market.
Right,
Like they
right,
like to
right,
put it,
right.
because they like you to be younger and impressionable so that they
Yeah.
can indoctrinate you, and
Manipulate
it's
you.
easier the younger you are. So for me, I feel so bad, because you could see older men, typically it's accepted for them to be bachelors and experience life and have their fun, whereas women, you're not looked at like that. So it's like, if you already haven't had these kind of beautiful, explosive sexual experiences, and then now you're getting older, you tend to already be looked at less. So your opportunities to share that with somebody, it doesn't always disappear, but it decreases a lot more than it does for men, because of how the world is taught to look at women. But that again is why it's important to learn your own body and not feel ashamed and afraid to explore your body, man. Like, don't feel weird and guilty. Like, and I wish that there was a way that we could help those that feel very worried or just weird about it. Like, just open up, just open your mind and consider it. You know what I mean? Watch a video or just go try it. Just do the things that you would want your partner to do. Like, if you're somebody who it takes a nice trip, or it takes some rose petals and baths and relaxation and massages, give yourself those things. Plan yourself a nice evening, light some candles, put on some music, have you some, you know, whatever your thing is. You like chocolate, have you some chocolate. They say it's a natural aphrodisiac, especially dark chocolate. Just enjoy yourself, serenade yourself, get you a toy if you need to get you a toy, but just enjoy yourself, get to know your body. You know what I mean? Like, there's no telling what you can open up and learn about yourself, and
I
it'll
am
be
glad to hear you
blissful.
say that, bro. I can't lie. I'm listening to you. I'll be forgetting. I'm listening to you. I'm smiling like this because I'm like, that's lit, bro.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing. No, it is though, because I feel like it'd be a shame to go through life, like you said, and never experience that level of pleasure and self-love. And just, I used to have days, I've not had them for a while, actually. You know, sometimes you go in and out, you know, the video goes up and down. But during 2019 was my year of a lot of was a different level of awakening. Every year is awakening, but 2019 was another level of my like self-love. And I remember I used to have Selfcare Saturdays. That's what I used to call it, Selfcare Saturday. So obviously I'd work Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I'm not working. So on Saturday morning, I would always have I'd have my incense playing, I'd have my crystals, I'd have my music, and I would spend the day in bed. Or I would even have my cannabis tea. I'd have my weed as well. I would just spend the day serenading when I mean serenading myself. Like, people, my friends knew me. You knew, right? I'd be like, wait, Selfcare Saturday. Like, it is me and self that day. We are having a phenomenal time, you know? So yeah, it was definitely important. Like you said, treat yourself how you want someone else to treat you. Why can't you do it to yourself? Why can't, I remember a friend of mine, actually, it's funny because look at life when you grow. That same 2019, before I'd even got into Selfcare Saturday, she used to say something to me. She was like, we were talking about masturbation. And she said, I mean, I know it sounds weird. She was quite spiritual too, but she was like, you know, I know it sounds weird, but I think of myself when I have sex. And I was like, it's a bit weird. But then the more I got into the journey, and I'm like, of course, though, because you are phenomenal. So because when we talk about sex again, it's just shame, shame, shame. No, you're phenomenal. You're a phenomenal, sexy, gorgeous ass woman. And you are literally right now pleasuring yourself. If that thought is what brings you like sexual arousing, what's the word? Sexual arousal. That's not arousement. I don't know what the word is. Arousal. Yeah, that's God damn it. Sexual arousal. So then do that, you know. And another thing, remember, I used to tell you, like, when we talk about sex, we don't think about God. It's a taboo. not to talk, don't think about God, don't talk about God during sex because they've bastardized it. When really that is the one time that you should absolutely talk
really
about God
think
and
about
think
God,
about
right?
God.
Right.
Because really that is this, and that's what I started doing. There was this like immense pleasure. You're doing this thing, right? That brings your body immense pleasure and connects you to source. God created this. So, and this is the one thing as well that brings forth life. Nothing else. It brings you so much pleasure. People lose their minds over sex, like especially men. Like it brings immense pleasure. There's nothing more pleasurable on the scale of pleasure than orgasms, right? Irrespective of how you get it, right? So, and the same thing is this only thing, only thing that brings forth life, right? So that's it, it is so, it's such a powerful energy. And this is why loads of religions always try and demonize sexual energy, because they know how powerful sexual energy is. But and then when you're now having sex, they now tell you don't think about the Most High. That is when you're at your most powerful. That's why they call it sex magic. Do you know what you can manifest? If that same thing can bring forth life, that same thing brings forth life in your like in your abyss that is your womb. Imagine when you consciously and intentionally affirm or praise the Most High during that act of pure. That's how sex is supposed to be. You're not supposed to look at it as if, oh no, it's so dirty, I can't talk to God. No. Affirm. Be like, give thanks, be grateful, appreciation, all the things you want. Pleasure. It's pleasure. So don't be disgusted by the idea of speaking to God. Right. Or saying what you want whilst you're having sex, whether by yourself or with someone else. That is the most powerful time. It takes your pleasure to a next level and it ups your manifestation game as well. Because normally if you ejaculate, you may bring forth a baby. But now if you consciously put a thought and plant it into the universe in that moment, please, you think that's not going to blossom? It's going to blossom in magnificent ways. It's literally science.
Right. And it's weird. It's weird though, because it's like, how can you not bring God into something that God created, right? Yeah. We all do it. We're not the only species that have sex, right? And
but we're the only ones that think it's bad to think about God during sex. Yeah. But we don't know what the other species think, but we actively say like, no, don't mention God.
Don't mention God.
Don't mention.
But then it just shows that like everybody has like this level of guilt attached to sex. And then like you think that sex is inherently bad when you think like that.
Doing it. Yeah.
Sex is such a beautiful thing. But a lot of that I chalk up to like not only our indoctrination, but a lot of like religion teaches you, that sex is bad when the reality is sex is so sacred. Yeah. It's one of the most sacred practices that we engage in, whether it's with yourself or with somebody else, especially with somebody else, because you can bring forth life. But it's like you said, taking something in that moment and putting it at the forefront of your mind while you are with somebody and let's say, for hypothetical purposes, that this person is on the same level as you in terms of you guys are sincerely reciprocating energy. You guys feel the same way about each other. So it's good energy. And then on top of that, you all want to receive pleasure and you both are equally giving pleasure. And it's just an amazing experience. Why wouldn't you call God into the room? God is all around us anyway. So like, why wouldn't you in that moment, like speak to God and ask God to bless you all in this moment and
like
speak life into all of the dreams and desires that you want. With that level of energy, you can manifest, oh my God, the world. So it's like, we have to reevaluate the way we look at sex and the way the world has taught us to look at sex. Like remove the shame, remove the guilt. You know what I mean? Not leave it up to somebody else to allow us to experience pleasure. Like take it into our own hands, take ownership and take that power back and decide for ourselves what we want that to look like. You want to have multiple orgasms, girl, get it. If you're in a relationship and it's something that you're not experiencing, and you have a partner or you guys are in some sort of committed relationship, then you guys need to like do a little research. You guys, or still go explore your body by yourself, figure out how to explain to somebody what you need.
What you like.
And the best way to do that is by figuring out what you need on your own. You know what I mean? So
and I think it's a ploy to keep us low vibrational, to be honest. Like
it is. I think so too.
It is. because you can't, this thing is the most powerful thing. We know how powerful sex is, and it's so amazingly pleasurable. And now it's something that we engage in so much in society. Society is so obsessed with sex, right? But the problem with that is, and I've seen so many men say it as well, you're now doing it. In men included, think that sex is pretty disgusting. They don't understand sex at all. That's why they can have sex with a woman that they can't stand and be disgusted by her and still think that it's her fault. So they're completely lost when it comes to that anyway. But imagine what that does to you, because this thing is supposed to be, not even supposed to be, it is sacred. It is powerful. And when used appropriately, it will elevate your life. The energy that you will exude, expel, right? This will elevate your life if you are practicing sacred sex properly. I mean, do you know what I mean? But we're now using it out of shame. The energy that you're using, that you're bringing forth whilst you're using this powerful thing, is shame, disgust, and that you're doing something disgusting and dirty. Mm-hmm. That literally keeps everybody at a low vibrational state. You cannot even grow, because you're like, this thing that is so beautiful, you just feel disgusting doing it. You're not even using the right energy. So that just keeps you stagnant. And I think that was done on purpose.
I agree with you.
Just to keep us at this low vibrational state in which they can now use sex against us. Because they do. The sex industry, even when you look at the sex industry like porn, or I don't really want to talk about prostitution, because I feel like sex really shouldn't be regulated.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that sex people should do whatever they want to do with sex. If a
people
woman wants to make money from sex,
they want.
It is my sex.
It is your
literally body. Like, if I choose to, you can't tell me. It's funny as well, because it's like the energy is so precious. To him though, it's not. You guys, you hate the energy. You clearly you hate it, but you now tell me that I can't sell it. Why can't I sell it?
If he can buy it, then she should be able to sell it.
Why?
And men don't typically get locked up for buying sex. Women get locked up for selling it.
And you think about the concept of sex as well. It's that most of the things that's in law is all morality anyway. They've got an audacity to be talking about morality. But why is it that you think you can tell me what to do with my sexual energy, my sex, you know? It's crazy when you think about society. It's my sex. It belongs to me. And I can do what I like with it. If I want to make money from it, I can make money from it. And people are so like...
they encourage rape with that, right? Because when you put a woman in a position that you're saying she can go and dance and she can work for somebody, but if you put a woman in a position that says like she can't make money off of her sex or off of her body the way that she wants to, then you encourage, then now she has to hide it. Now she's doing it undercover because obviously there's a demand for it, right? There's people out there that's doing it, and there's a whole sex trafficking industry, and a lot of women who are prostitutes are people who have been in abusive relationships or put into sex trafficking from the time that they were children. A lot of people start off very young in that industry and they feel like they have nothing else. So it's like, or whether you make the conscious decision to do it, either way, you put a woman in a position to be even more vulnerable than we already are, because you can't call the cops, you can't do anything, and then there's no help. So it's like now a man is coming to you knowing that, and there are some men who play by the rules, but there are so many more men that abuse and murder.
Prostitutes. In fact, they sleep with them and don't pay them, which is that pisses me off as well. Like I've seen them fighting men,
because it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to call the cops? And you know that she can't. So it's like these types of industries, when they do that, it's just another way that they control women's bodies. And it's funny that you brought that up, because there was a law that is about to be passed, or in the works of being passed, in another state, and I don't remember the state. Let me look it up. But they were saying that if you were raped, they're trying to ban abortions. And if you are raped by somebody and decide to have an abortion, they are passing a law that you can be sued up to $20,000 by everybody in his immediate family. And I feel like he was allowed to sue you too. I'm not positive. I'm sure he was, but definitely like his parents, both of his parents, his siblings, or anybody around. If he already had kids or whatever, all of them can sue you. And I'm like, look at how they encourage rape for women. Like, that benefits you completely. You can now go and rape this woman and then now sue her. If she goes, I don't want this child, you and your whole family can sue her. That's crazy. It's like, is
it's
this real life right now?
It's the Matrix. It is. Honestly, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow. What, like literally, you know, just wow. Like I'm listening to you and I'm like, wow. And these are the people that we look to. This is why I'm so anti-government. I don't care. I say it all the time. These are the people we look to govern and protect us. Like they show us time and time again, they are not for us. They are dangerous to women, in society in general. To society in general, the government is sick and dangerous, right? They do not have our best interests at heart. They just play us and do what they like with us. But women especially, how is that even allowed? It's not a society, Jazz. It's a flipping madhouse. It's like, I remember watching years ago, I think I told you about it. It was SVU, Special Victims Unit. I used to watch that all the time, Law and Order. And even though it's not real, but they base it off of real laws and stuff, right? And there was a girl who was raped. It was the stalker, stalking our psychopath. I don't know what is wrong with men. Like, I just don't understand. Anyway. And he was stalking her and he raped her. This one needs to come back and rape her multiple times even. He would just come back. And then she got pregnant. And I think she initially wanted to get rid of it, but then she was like, oh, okay, fine, she's going to keep it. So she kept the baby, right? Do you know he took her to court? Bear in mind, he was obsessed with her. He was obsessed with her, by the way. So he was obsessed with her and she didn't like him. So he raped her. And after raping her, she got pregnant. Then he took her to court and filed for custody and he got joint custody. Now, I remember watching that SVU. I think I told you, I remember watching it and being like,
no. Absolutely not.
You mean to tell me, yeah, that the level of violation, you as a man can see me and be like, I like it. I'm like, boy, get away from me. I want to have my baby. Boy, bye. And you're like, we'll see about that. You commit a heinous crime against me. You rape me, force your way into my source center, plant your seed. And then I say, okay, fine, I'm gonna keep the seed because it's my seed as well, right? Let me keep this baby. And then you now have a right. So you've basically forced me to have your baby. Mm-hmm. You've trapped me in a like you've literally just forced me to say, you're having my baby, I don't care. And now we're going to be in a co-parenting relationship because I wanted you to have my baby, even though you didn't want to have my baby. Mm-hmm. And the law fully supports you. Mm-hmm. The law is so deadly for women. I can't take
it. Does because it's like men are the ones making the rules and mostly white men at that. But men are the ones in the majority of the leadership positions in terms of like lawmaking and things like that. Well, in terms of everything for real. But it's crazy because the law like perpetuates the abuse against women.
Yeah.
They
facilitates it as well.
Yeah,
they literally facilitates it. Like
they do. It's almost like they're making the laws going
and get away with it.
They're like, how can we help ourselves in these situations?
That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they're doing.
Because why would you be making a decision on something that one, you haven't even experienced, two, you're not a woman. You can't go through those things. Why would you feel like you can make decisions about anything that has to do with a woman and her body? It's crazy.
All systems of patriarchy. Crazy. And the worst part is that so many women don't even see how problematic it is. Right. You know what I mean? The kind of problematic society that we're living in. Imagine your rapist and his family can sue you for having an abortion.
I know. When I saw it, I was sick. I watched it. I had to watch it because I thought I was mishearing it. I watched it like 3 times. It was like one of those reels. I was like, I'm tripping. I was like, I'm going
to check it now. We're kind of going off. This is a different topic, but I'm going to check this on my phone. I want to check.
No, that's fine. That's fine. While you're checking that. What?
Go ahead. Yeah, I want to check how many men. Yeah, how many percentage of men that rape women. And obviously, when you think about it, you have to think about those that got unreported, those who don't class it as rape. I just want to know, because the way they get laws and stuff passed in their favor, a lot of them they're rapists. I mean, even if just because you haven't raped me doesn't mean you haven't raped another woman in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because they all think like that. How many?
Yeah. And a lot of them like to blur the lines of what rape is.
Exactly.
As well. They
stuff like remember we talked about there's different types of rape. And there's one that I didn't really know until I watched I May Destroy You. I loved that program. She's so inspirational, Michaela Cole. But she that was her documenting her rape journey. And that was when I found out that taking a condom off without my consent is rape.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And obviously then it makes sense, it makes sense, obviously. And
well, know what it is though? A lot of people now are trying to make it very clear, because see, men get away with rape so much. We are now having to make it very clear what rape is. Coercion is rape. Like the girl obviously didn't want to, and you're like, come on. She's like, no. You're like, come on. And you just keep pushing it. Sometimes women are intimidated or afraid or can't speak up. And don't know what to do in those moments. So that's what happens. That's what ends up happening. That all of this is like clear evidence on how women are constantly trapped. And men always say, oh, she trapped me. Women trapped me.
Right.
They set me up. And it's like, okay, you this big, strong man, she trapped you, even though you decided not to wear a condom and you decided to bust your nut in her, but she trapped you. I hate when I hear men say that, because it's like,
there's something
you
wrong
made
with
the
them.
conscious decision to have sex with her raw and to have sex with her, like, and then now plant your seeds in her. So it's like, how do you get to say that? How do you get to say that she trapped you? How did she trap you? She didn't force you to bust. She didn't force you to have sex. And if you think that she's going to trap you, one, you shouldn't be having sex with her. If you feel that way about her, if you feel that uneasy with somebody, you should not be having sex with somebody you don't trust. And then if you're going to have sex with her, despite all of that, it's like, why would you put yourself in such a vulnerable situation if you feel like you're so, worthy of being trapped? Like, you think somebody wants to trap you or be a gold digger to you. It's like, why would you put yourself in that situation? Because the reality is that's just another narrative that they throw at women to make women feel shameful about something that they did.
That they've done, exactly.
But men are constantly trapping women. You know how many men I've heard online say that, like, oh, I had a baby with her because I knew that a lot of men wouldn't like her as much when they find out that she has kids.
I've heard that.
Because men don't like you when you have kids, apparently not as much. And also it's a way for me to she always has to deal with me. She always has to stay in my life. She's always going to have to like be around me because of the kid now. So it's like women get trapped constantly. So when it comes to sex,
in fact, it is trapping, because like you said, had you not have come inside her, you lunatic, then she wouldn't have had the baby. So if you didn't want to have the baby, then you shouldn't come inside her. It's the lack of accountability for me. But again, they will never be accountable in this. I feel sorry for them. This is what we said in Pow Talks. Again, if you haven't listened to Pow Talks, make sure you listen to Pow Talks.
Check it out.
But you literally, like, lack of accountability, and it stops you from having a sane life. Imagine having that level of detachment from your actions, and who you're so not self-aware, because everything is always somebody else's fault. You're like living in a real delusional world, like, and it's crazy because when you it's a good point that you brought up, because they are always saying that we trap them, and it's like, how can she actually, like, so? And the thing is, you're so callous for life as well. You are so callous for life, because like you said, you are the one that came inside me, right? If you don't come, I can't procreate again. So that's why you should be holding your semen, you useless things. Don't be pushing it anyhow. Hold it, for God's sake. Well, you did that, and because of what you have done, you now want me to abort the life. You are that callous. And if I don't abort the life, then I am the one who trapped you, because you have such a disregard for that process and what you're doing. And think about how many of them say, just get rid of it, have an abortion, get rid of it, have an abortion. Like, brother, that's not contraceptive.
No.
How about you didn't come inside me? What did you think was going to happen?
Even the fact that some of them, if they don't get as far as, before you even get to the point of them wanting you to have an abortion, a lot of them will say, like, just take a plan B or just take
oh my God,
control.
Right.
But the side effects of those, literally, it's proven now that women who have been taking birth control or plan Bs is causing cancer, reproductive issues, infertility,
fibroids, PCOS, everything.
Girl, it's crazy. It's crazy the things that we do to our body.
Destroying our
Meanwhile, there is man birth control. There is male birth control. There's pills. There's shots. There's this new ultrasound bath that they stick their balls in, and it like it's like a little cup. They stick their balls in it, and it like paralyzes the sperm. It's like, You guys go ahead. And it's funny because I
it's better for them to do that anyway, because they don't want to be dropping their seeds up and down. We can only get pregnant once.
Vasectomy. Yeah, or they can have a vasectomy. But it's like, if you're going to be having sex with multiple partners all over the place every day, whenever you can, as often as you can, why don't you prevent yourself from being trapped and go ahead and like set yourself up for success and take your own birth control?
The ego.
Yeah.
I think it's an ego thing as well. You know, like they it makes them kind of feel important. Like,
well, and they all become health conscious instantly. Well, that sounds dangerous. Well, dangerous when we do it to our bodies. Everybody says that to me. Every time I hear about male birth control and I bring it up and I talk to somebody about it, that doesn't sound healthy.
But women's is fine. It's fine for us. It's not healthy. It's not problematic for women.
Matter of fact, somebody said to me, it doesn't sound like it would work. And even if it did, like, that's not something our bodies are meant to do. The sperm shouldn't be paralyzed. I'm like, right. But imagine like stopping one of your eggs from releasing and like stopping your period, stopping your body from getting pregnant when your body naturally does that. You don't think that sounds weird? We're so socialized to see like the attacks on a woman's body as normal. Meanwhile, we are suffering from it now. That's why a lot of us are having these health issues now. Yeah. So anyways, in terms of like sex in our bodies, that's why it's important for us to take those things into our hands, whether it's protecting your body, you know, whether it's saying what you are and are not okay with, and definitely your pleasure. Taking your pleasure into your own hands, man.
Take control of it. Oh, it's beautiful, you know. Don't be ashamed, ladies. You know, they've taught us to be ashamed, especially coming from I can't even say coming from an African background. I think coming from any background as a woman, but especially a Black background, we're just constantly shamed. We are not allowed to have any kind of pleasure, because the white woman, to be honest, is allowed to be more sexually, even though it's so interesting. They're allowed to be more sexually, they're allowed to explore sexually, right? They just kind of, it's just a thing that they know that, well, white women are just, you know, it's fine for them to behave a certain way, but Black women can't behave in a certain way. Right. And it's also funny because they've always said this thing growing up. They used to say that white women will do all kinds of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're good in bed. Just because you're
even though they would say white women would do all kinds of things, but they still break their backs to be with one though. But they'll break their backs to be with one. And a woman, a Black woman, God forbid you have a sexual partner in your past, like you're looked at immediately as like washed as up a hoe, and, like, ran through.
There's something wrong with that.
Yeah, girl. The world.
Do you know what I mean? So ladies, claim back your pleasure, your sexual pleasure, eliminate the shame. Like this year, this whole journey for me has been, I've said it on several occasions, is my shame. I will not take the shame anymore. This is your shame. Anyone that tries to bring shame to me, it's your shame. I don't want it, because I grew up with so much shame around the way I looked, around my body, and around my pleasure, around the way I spoke. Everything about me was to be ashamed of. There was really nothing to be proud of, you know, apart from maybe how I did academically. That was something that I was encouraged to be proud of, but everything else was shame. And we have to claim it back. Say no to shame, reject it.
Yeah.
Like, don't spend your life, sweetheart, not experimenting your body and not knowing how to give your own self an orgasm. You know, take your time, experiment, explore. Do not be ashamed. You deserve it. Agreed. Like, don't live in your body in that shame. It's just not. It's no way to live life, ladies. You know, one day at a time. One day at a time. Experience those orgasms because you deserve it. Give yourself the orgasms. That's why God created it. And we all know God is a woman, but don't worry, that episode is coming up soon.
Coming soon. Stay tuned.
So yeah, but on that note, I think we're going to round up now. It's always nice sharing our conversations with you guys.
Yeah.
This year we're claiming back everything. We're claiming back our power in all facets, and that definitely includes sexually in the bedroom, because it's really important. You know, we deserve it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's life. You know, you don't want to spend life not experiencing the greatness that God has given us, you know.
No shame.
Like, let go of the shame. Let go of the shame.
I reject it. I send it back.
I send it back. Mine. Does not belong to me, you know? Like, so yeah. Thank you for joining us. I don't know, Jazz, you got anything to end with, or we're just gonna wrap it up?
Ladies, I have an assignment. Just an assignment. Ladies, go and enjoy yourself tonight. I don't care if you got a partner or not. Ladies, I want you all to comment and let us know if you've ever faked an orgasm. Let us know if you've
ever had one as well, by the way. If you've never had one as well. No, if you've never had an orgasm, let us know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Honestly,
faked one if you've never had one, or if you're afraid to like tell your partner like that what they're doing doesn't please you.
Doesn't feel
if you're
good,
afraid to do that, like talk to us, reach out. Maybe we can help you with that.
Do you know what I mean? Ask Pow. Schedule a session as well. Yeah, that would be a definite ask.
That's what we're here for.
Get into it with you. Yeah. Fantastic.
So,
all right then, ladies. Don't forget to follow us Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok at the Pow Podcast, and we will see you guys again next week.
Bye.